We started with the threats towards such countries as Romania, Bulgaria, Georgia, and Ukraine. What's happening in Ukraine, the world knows. But what about the position of Bulgaria? There's some interesting points. For example, not long ago, it was noted, the Ministry of Defense stated that involvement of other countries and the danger of the war that would end not only on the borders of Ukraine was the position of Bulgaria. But interesting now, since 1 year of the full-scale war here in Ukraine, President Radev publicly condemns the Russian invasion, but is otherwise opposed to anything that counters Russia's interests. Although a parliamentary majority voted in late 2022 in favor of direct military aid for Ukraine after Petkov's government was ousted, the interim government appointed by President Radev has so far made no real effort to implement the decision. So my question is, this position towards Russia and towards Ukraine at the same time, what does the balance of power right now and influence really look like in Bulgaria, if you know a little bit about the politician situation in Bulgaria, and how long and in what motives will drive this politicum of Bulgaria in two different directions? How long they can hold this balance inside the country?
Well, the president of Bulgaria that you mentioned is quite a character, because being a president of the NATO state country, being a NATO general, being a president of the member state of the European Union, he keeps somehow being influenced by Russian narratives. So this is real unfortunate for us and for all those institutions mentioned. But luckily, in Bulgaria, we have a very pro-European and pro-Ukraine government, parliament, the prime minister, which makes a big difference for us. And the latest visit of the President Zelensky to Bulgaria is another proof of that statement. Bulgaria still supports the Ukraine's accession to NATO, and the parliament the Bulgarian parliament has been vocal about it. I think the situation is somehow similar a little bit to the case of Hungary, although in Bulgaria we have more support among the parliamentarians and other branches of the state power. So we'll see how if that can change, if the world and Ukraine can convince the Bulgarian president to change his mind or his rhetoric and his understanding of the situation and our needs. But so far, I see that Ukrainian leadership is focused on building a closer ties with those pro-European powers that are in Bulgaria and securing that support through that avenue.
It's a very interesting situation, as you now mentioned about pro-Russian narratives in Bulgaria. I want to add other situation of not being free in doing some maybe radical things towards Russia. It's because there are lots of real estate that bought in Bulgaria by Russians during all the years of independence of Russia. How do you think, what particular interests or threats does Russia else continue to put a pressure on Bulgarian government? Or is this position of Sofia dictated solely by personal interests? You know what I mean? This situation, like the country of NATO, but still the money of Russia,
Yeah, well, we remember we had that discussion at the beginning of the war with Germany and their position on the war in Ukraine, having a lot of investments and business interests between Germany and Russia. The same we remember having with Italy, with multiple real estates, expensive yachts bought by Russian oligarchs in Italy. And we remember the rhetoric of the Italian government, Italian leadership before the new prime minister was appointed. It's a matter of different aspects that make it that difference. It is the personal level and personal interest. It is a business interest, and it is a work of our diplomats and our allies and our lobbying and advocacy efforts in those countries that are still hesitant to believe and understand the real threat that Russia poses to not only to Ukraine, but to all those countries where Russian capital is massively present. I think countries eventually will understand trading with an aggressor, trading with the terrorists, trying to build a so-called business partnerships with the terrorists can play can play badly with those countries. We see that for Russia, no rules, no treaty, no agreement is a real limitation. They do not respect any rule of law. They do not respect any established rules of the game on the world scale. At any point, when Russia will decide that this trade partner or that country, Bulgaria, for example, is no longer in the sphere of influence or of interest for Russia at the particular moment of time. The same can happen to that country. Russia can play bad with those people. So I think it's a matter of time. It's a matter of doing our homework constantly, systemically, and there's always a chance to get to the minds of the people, even the ones who were not as friendly or as understanding towards us, such as Germany, Italy, and other countries of the global south as well. A year ago or so, they were not really interested, didn't understand anything related to Russia, Ukraine, and the interest and the challenges in this part of the world. Now, with the war, our diplomats have been working closely and tirelessly with that region, and we see positive shifts. They are not happening, very quickly, but I think we have to keep doing our homework, and hopefully we'll have that end result that we would like to have.